The Saints just wrapped up day 4 of training camp, and apparently Spencer Rattler was balling out today. Starting off with some attendance from day 4, Marshawn Lattimore not at practice today, hurt his hip flexor yesterday, so didn't really expect him to be out here, yet back at practice. Another big one, defensive lineman Brian Brissy. That is one that we do not want to see on this list, okay? Because the defensive line has already took a hit with losing Passanel, but Brian Brissy, obviously, he's going to be needed this year. Second year player, obviously took him in the first round last year. Had a really nice rookie season. So hopefully he can get back on the field sooner than later. I believe it is a foot injury for him, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, Kendre Miller says he was spotted off to the side. So he is at practice. He's just not participating in anything right now. And Dennis Allen said he is not going to get into a timetable for Lattimore or anyone else's return. That's from Catherine Terrell, which is par for the course for DA. He's not one to go into specifics on injuries. So it's a hip flexor injury for him. That could be 1 week. It could be 10 weeks. We just don't know right now. But with Marshawn being out, that leaves Kool-Aid McKinstry taking first team reps. And, while it sucks that Lattimore is injured right now, it gives Kool-Aid the unique opportunity to get those first team reps because he did miss all of the offseason. So that's, a lot of reps that he missed that he's able to kind of recoup now, especially being a young first year player. This is a really, huge opportunity for him to, show what he's got working with the ones. So another thing from practice today, and it's a lot of different reporters saying this, so I believe it. They're saying that the run game looked legitimately good today. You can see Luke Johnson here. He says, thought the run game looked legitimately great today. Lots of big holes for the running backs who turned them into big games. And he says, I like the way that Jordan Mims looks in this scheme. Mims, of course, is a guy who I know the coaches like, and he showed a lot of flashes so far at training camp. But Luke Johnson here says that the running game looked good. And also Nick Underhill had that to say as well. He says, no pads, but I thought the run game looked good at times today. Now, the first part of this is huge, no pads. We don't really know anything until the pads come on because it's a completely different game out there for everything, like for every drill, for the one-on-ones with offensive line, defensive line, for the receivers and corners. Just it's a whole different ball game when the pads come on. But it is good to see that the run game is at least looking like it's heading in the right direction for now. Another thing multiple reporters are talking about today from Saints practice is the use of play action. Matthew here says the Saints aren't kidding about play action being a part of this offense, but what stands out to me is the variety of them. Rollouts, bootlegs, more standard PA looks. Some of the Shanahan offenses have strayed away from play action in recent years, but I don't think that will be in New Orleans. So again, not surprising at all, right? Play action is a huge part of this offense that Clint Kubiak is bringing to New Orleans. And of course, Derek Carr has historically thrived in play action based concepts. So good to see that they're working on that, but it's no surprise because that's what that offense is built off of. And again, here with Luke Johnson, kind of just, reiterating the same thing. He says, summing up today's Saints practice, play action, so much play action. Another thing I want to talk about is the kicker situation. Charlie Smith, who the Saints brought in to compete with Blake Grupe. Grupe obviously struggled at times last year, but it says John Hendricks says Charlie Smith hit all 7 of his kicks today, including 1 from 59 with room to spare. And I seen another tweet from another reporter. I can't find it anywhere, but it says that is the longest field goal that's been hit at training camp so far this year. I think they said that Blake Grupe hit 1 from 52, but right now Charlie Smith, it looks like he's given Blake Grupe a good amount of competition that could be one to watch. And then of course on the topic of Spencer Rattler, I've seen multiple reporters say that this was Spencer Rattler's best day of practice by far. Here John Hendricks says, Saints play of the day, Spencer Rattler hooked up with Mason Tipton for a 40-yard bomb for a touchdown. His speed helped him get behind the defense. Defense got a little revenge not long after, getting another turnover from Lawrence Johnson, stripping Tipton with Kool-Aid McKinstry recovery. And here Luke Johnson says, I feel like today was easily Spencer Rattler's best day in a Saints uniform. And he again talks about the play where he hits Mason Tipton in stride for a 40-yard touchdown off play action. And then he says Rattler worked with the ones today, which obviously helps with production and looking good, right? Anytime you can work with the starters, you're probably going to look a little better. And after practice today, Eric McCoy was one of the players that spoke to media, and he had pretty high praise for the Saints' first-round pick, Talise Fuaga. He says, as long as I've been here, he is the best rookie offensive lineman I've ever seen. Coming from a player that's as good as Eric McCoy, that's some pretty high praise. Honestly, it gets me excited because the Saints need all the help they can get on the offensive line. And this here is also Eric McCoy speaking on Fuaga.
Natural.
Tyler?
Yeah.
Guy's a freaking natural. I truly believe that he could play all four. He can't play center. He could play all four positions on the line and be a dog. Like, I think he's going to be that good of a football player.
Natural.
So he says he thinks he could play all other four positions on the offensive line, you know, left tackle, left guard, right tackle, and be a dog. And versatility in today's NFL for an offensive lineman is everything, because one guy goes down, you can just slide him, you know, wherever. He's going to be starting, but, you know, if another guy goes down, he could slide there. You get the point, right? But obviously, high praise from someone like Eric McCoy on Fuaga. McCoy also spoke on Trevor Penning. He says it was a hard situation last year for Trevor Penning. He said this year could change the trajectory of his career if he plays like he's capable of doing. And that's a big part to me, like he's capable of doing. That tells me that McCoy knows that Penning has it in him. He just has to go out there and do it. He said one big thing is confidence. He's not afraid of making a mistake. Saints this year obviously brought in a new offensive line coach, and I think that was huge for Penning. I think last year he was just so afraid of making any kind of mistake that he just didn't play as loose as he needed to, even though, you know, I didn't agree with his benching at the time. But still, if he can just play confidently and loose and not be so worried about messing up every little thing, I think that can be huge for him, just like Eric McCoy said here. Overall, though, it does seem like it was another good day of practice. Nick Underhill says another good day for the offense. People were saying yesterday the offense had a really good day as well. So that's 2 days in a row for the offense, which is nice to see, you know, with it being a new offense being installed. You know, of course, Saints running a new offense for the first time in the better part of 2 decades. So, you know, 2 good days in a row for the offense. Defense, we know they're going to be solid. They are always going to be solid as long as Dennis Allen's in the building. But nonetheless, big day for Spencer Rattler. Good day for the offense. Appreciate you guys watching. Peace.